Greetings, fratres and sorors, and welcome to the symposium. I'm Essay Magege, and I'm very happy to be with you today. So today we're going to be talking about the language of the inner voice. Bear with me while I share my slides with you. So a quick overview of what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be covering two key principles that give us a deeper understanding of what the inner voice is and its nature. We're going to also be looking at nature for the existence of these principles. Then we will show how these principles relate to the inner voice. We'll dive deeply into what the inner voice is and how can we assess and harness it. And then lastly, we'll do a meditation on intuition. Fratres and sorors, what is the inner voice? The inner voice we refer to here is the voice of intuition. Before we dive deeper into intuition, let us first understand why it exists in the first place and the role it plays in our lives. Why do you think intuition exists? These two spiritual principles will help explain the reason for its existence. And they are that the purpose of which each soul has entered the material world is to discover itself and be a channel of blessings to others, leaving the world a better place than when we met it. A channel of blessings. We understand that each experience we encounter on earth are not by chance, for in discovering ourselves that we may contribute to the welfare of others. The second principle is that we are all connected and we are all one. Everything in the universe is interconnected. So let us now look at nature for the existence of these principles and show how they relate to intuition. Let's take the example of a newborn baby. How many of you have witnessed the birth of a newborn? In the course of my work, I have been privileged to witness the birth of newborns. And recently, when my niece was born, it was interesting seeing how she looked around the room, staring at the faces of doctors and nurses. Many researchers and child educators believe that the initial searching in newborns, or the initial searching observing newborns, is a search for the mother, a familiar point of reference for the newborn. According to Dr. Montessori, a physician and a child care educator, in the uterus, the child learns its environment, such as the heart and digestive sounds of the mother, the scent of the mother, the voice of the parents, and so forth. This is one of the fundamental reasons why the practice of placing the infant on the mother's chest shortly after delivery, it's widely encouraged and is still very much in vogue in most hospitals today. In this example, we see innate in babies is this natural learning ability. In the uterus, the fetus learns learns things like the heart sounds of the mother and the voices of the parents. This innate learning ability becomes more apparent when you observe a child. Babies at a few months old discover movement of their hands, and then that they can grasp objects with it. Then they discover their feet, and that they can grab their feet with their hands. This self-discovery keeps some babies fully engaged and excited. Babies are constantly grabbing on things and then releasing them. Soon after, they discover that they can make sounds. Some babies babble through the day and very much entertain themselves by the sounds they make. Then they discover that they can move, that they can crawl from one place to the other. At this point, there's no stopping them. Everything in their territories are meant for grabs and go in the mouth. They discover on their own that the objects make sound when they put them down. Brothers and sisters, again, we see this natural innate learning ability of infants to explore and discover themselves and their environment, reflective of the principle that each soul enters the material world to discover self and the process contribute to the welfare of others. I will give another example. This past summer, at the Rosicrucian Column Junior Order Convention in San Jose, California, Dr. Charles Koranki, a physician, and he works with kids, presented a lecture to the Columns and Junior Order members on double-stranded DNA and single-stranded RNA. The topic sounds complex, right? But it was interesting to observe the level of interest of the children as they were engrossed and captivated by the illustrations of the human genes. Unconsciously, there was this instinctive drive to know self. Perhaps if the lecture had been on the formula of gravity, I wonder if there would be the same level of interest. Not long ago, we received a survey from Ground Lodge inquiring about the reasons we joined the order. What was your reason for joining the order? Perhaps to seek greater knowledge, to be better versions of ourselves, for networking or for community. Each of these answers are reflective of our innate drive to know self and be of service to others. Why experiences matter. To further illustrate why experiences matter, let us remember the purpose of the soul. The soul is here to discover self and does so through experiences. All experiences, including the painful ones, are learning experiences, are learning opportunities. Researchers have shown that when we learn something new, there are changes that occur in the brain, such as the formation of new neuronal connections in the brain. A research article from the Encyclopedia of Forensic Science, 2013 edition, talks about the developmental changes that occur with the brain during aging. I bet the infant brain weighs about 333 grams. And at 2 years old, the brain triples in size and weighs about 999 grams. At age 20, the average weight of the brain is about 1,400 grams. And at age 65 years old, there is we begin to see changes in the brain begins to atrophy, and the average weight is about 1,300 grams. By 90 years old, there is a total loss of brain weight up to 15%. The fastest growth occurs during the first 3 years of life, so that by the age of 5 years old, the infant's brain weighs about 90% of the adult value. Despite the decline in brain volume that occurs with aging, we still can learn and still have learning and still have experiences, reflective of this innate learning ability we all have. Again, reinforcing the fact that learning is innate in all of us, and through learning, we achieve discovery of self. So let's put this all together. So far, we have seen that we all have this innate drive to learn and discover self and the environment, which is consistent with our soul's purpose. and that experiences will occur as long as we are on this earthly plane. For it is through experience we discover self. How does this all relate to the inner voice of intuition? One way our soul communicates to us is through intuition. It is through intuition we make the right decisions that benefit all. We know the right thing to do at a given time. We know the time before glancing at a clock. We know the identity of a person who sends us mail or who telephones us before opening the mail or answering the phone. It is through intuition we know whether doing or not doing a certain thing is right. In our Rosicrucian studies, intuition is defined, is always described as a faculty of our soul, the inner self. By definition, it corresponds to an instantaneous and temporary communion with cosmic consciousness. Intuition are impressions, with thoughts, images that come to us spontaneously. We all have intuitive abilities, some more developed than others. It is like going to the gym. The more we work out, the more toned our muscles will be. Similarly, the more we use our intuition, the more developed it will be. The more we act on our intuition, the more we are given, and the more we are blessed. This is because acting on our intuition is a service to our soul and hence humanity. Let me share an intuitive experience I had a few days ago. As part of my regular routine, I enter into a period of silence for a few days. And at this time, I'm unavailable. From the corner of my eyes, I saw my phone flashing, and instantly I knew it was a distress call. So I came out of my silence and took the call. It was a friend who was ill. He had done everything he was supposed to do. He had been to the doctors and was receiving treatment for the illness. He had also been in touch with his doctor earlier that day. Everything appeared to be in order. I suggested an urgent need to go to the ER where he was found to be very ill. He was admitted and treated, and now feeling much better. I was very happy that I followed my intuition this time, which is not always the case. The moral of the story is that when we act on our intuition, we can be of greater service to others. Other ways we use our intuition for service is in forgiveness practices, dreams, problem solving, connecting and understanding others, and so forth. Let's look at how we can connect to nature through our intuition. We can carry out simple exercises. We can carry out this simple exercise the next time we are in nature. Start by attuning with nature or becoming one with it. For non-members, we attune through meditation. This entails closing our eyes, relaxing the body, imagining ourselves becoming one with nature, and then remaining receptive for any impressions such as thoughts, images, ideas, visions that we may receive. While we are receptive, we do not try to create any impression or expect an impression to come in a particular way or form, such as a thought, flash, or voice. We remain completely passive to allow the flow, the free flow of consciousness, and then we note any impressions we may receive. Through intuition, we can get insight about a person, or a situation. An example is when we go to bed and wake up with a clear message for someone, or when we speak to someone over the phone and know that they are not listening, even though we can't see them. It is because we are all interconnected and we are all one that we are able to intuitively connect to others and nature. If we want to be intuitive about anything, let's establish a sense of oneness with that thing. It could be we want to find out something about a job or someone or about nature. When we put ourselves in the other person's shoes, it triggers intuitive understanding. Imagination and intuition work together. Through imagination, we can intuitively perceive things that our five senses cannot do. It is through imagination we harness the powers of our intuition. So for daily practice, we can imagine what it will be like being in other person's shoes. Experience the feeling of being in the other person's shoes. Some difficulties we face with using our intuition include lack of belief in our intuitive abilities, expectation of a specific outcome. We feel intuition should appear in a certain way, inability to quiet the mind. We are emotional. Sometimes we're emotionally upset and can't meditate. And sometimes we are too busy. A helpful practice to transcend these difficulties is to let go and surrender to a higher process. Let go of the material conditions and let the spiritual self be the guide. We will find that the material condition will take its place once the spiritual self becomes the guide. We all have mental patterns of thinking, some of which make us very reactive. As per our teachings, most of the problems and hardships confronting humanity arise because a large number of people act more under the impulse of the ego than under the influence of the soul. If we could only pause and truly listen to our higher self, the outcomes will be different. By pausing and listening to self, we are able to change the mental patterns of thinking that make us reactive to that of love. When we are one with love, we harness the limitless power of our intuition. I will now end this presentation with a saying from Neil Donald Walsh: what will love do now? When we struggle with making a decision and not knowing which way to go, simply ask ourselves, what will love do now? By putting ourselves in the shoes of love, we trigger an intuitive understanding and we will be led to doing the right thing. Brothers and sisters, let us now proceed to a brief period of meditation. Sit relaxed, with hands on your laps unclasped. Close your eyes. Take in several deep neutral breaths. As you do so, Bring your awareness to the present moment. Bring your awareness to the sensation in your lower legs. Feel the sensation traveling up your lower legs to your knees. Feel the sensation traveling up from your knees to your thighs, up your hips, your lower back and abdomen, your hands, your upper back and neck, going up from your chest to the front part of your neck, to your face, to the top of your head, now bring your awareness to the middle of your head. Draw an imaginary line from your right ear to your left ear, and from the front of your head to the back of your head. And at the intersection of this midline, put your attention there. This is where your pineal gland lies. Bring your attention to your pineal gland. Now, think about an area in your life that you would like guidance or clarity in, and form a question. Ask for the answer to be revealed to you. And be open to any impression you may receive. Just observe what comes to you without overthinking it or without judging. When you're ready, you may open your eyes. Brothers and sisters, this brings us to the end of our presentation. Thank you for attending, and peace profound.